Hey, buddy, it's Caesar with the Local Service Podcast here in Houston, Texas. Changed up the scenery a bit. So, man, am I changing environments ever? So, like now, if you can see this, if you're on YouTube, we got the piano here at the office, like right behind my chair, which is awesome because after a couple hours working, and it's like, hey, want to just change it up? I go to the piano, do some lessons, or just play things I know. Brought a different bookshelf with some ornaments, some very Mexican ornaments that basically my mother's been giving me over the course of time. And then got the couch and got the whiteboard, got some posters from Visualize Value. I don't know if you guys follow them on Instagram, but they have some very cool designs that I've purchased. You can't really see what they are, but we've actually made some designs for our own social media posts where basically they make everything so simple and visual. So you explain a lot with the least amount of effort, I think. And it's very black and white. Like, here's the graph, here's where you start, here's where you end, and then you understand completely just by the way it's designed. It's really cool, and it's almost like a new form of communication that I haven't really seen or been aware of like ever. And I really want to implement that not only in like our company social media, but also like on the website. So this is I'm grabbing stuff from the world and thinking, oh man, that looks like something that might be effective, honestly, because instead of giving you two paragraphs of explaining what you do and why you do it and who you are, imagine you can just do a simple chart or a simple line graph that'll make the customer or person visiting the website completely understand, right? So, like, real quick, one that I created was there are three businesses, right? And they all look the exact same, and then one of them has like a light beam on it. So a triangle, triangle, triangle. Business one, business two, business three, and then one has like a beam of light being pointed at it, and then the caption reads, "One of these businesses is doing marketing." And so all that's saying is that light the is illuminating the business that's doing marketing. I mean, I'm not saying which one is doing marketing, but I'm saying this one is being seen without that many like very little words. So I really like that. And yeah, I just wanted to do a quick introduction of what's going on here at the Symphony Advertising headquarters, I guess you could call it. Um, which this is the Local Service Podcast because it's for local service-based business, where you can learn marketing, strategies, tips, I guess, but they're all really strategies, tactics, and anything revolving that. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the three signs to stop your Google ads. So I have a story before I get into it. The reason this idea came up is because I have a client. Okay, we have a client that uh, it's a good client for us. So they and it's kind of weird. I'll get into the specifics. So they pay a good hourly rate, like a very good hourly rate. They give us 10, 15 hours a week. And, it's on the table. Like, if we want to use them, we can use them. They are a fairly sized company, probably medium sized. They're definitely not small. They're not a corporate, like a huge corporation or anything, but they're big. Part of their business is buying other businesses. Like, that's their strategy. How do we grow? We buy businesses that are already doing what we're doing, that have a customer base that can be an add-on value to our current product line, our current services. We can use their resources. They can use ours. So that's the game they're playing. And so we are in charge of running their Google ads for multiple of their locations, and it's great. Like, it's a very good thing that client to have. Nice people, understanding. We have weekly meetings. Like, it's everything about it is good. And it's been 3 months since we've been doing Google ads for them, and I got to a point where I'm getting online and I'm looking, right, because I'm kind of the head of this project, right? Like, how do we make this work to the best of its ability? Um, Granted, when I got the account, it was just a mess. So it's been improved. It's not wasting as much money, and we are spending what we need to spend where we need to spend it for the services we think we need to spend it at, right? So doing all that research, doing all these edits to the site, and optimizing everything to the best of our ability, I look at it and I'm like, unless the data I'm receiving from the client is off, like unless they're telling me, like, as an example, they're giving me instructions for a football player, but really I should be getting instructions for a basketball player. Like if that's the scenario, then there's still somewhere to grow. Like there's still an opportunity to make this a successful campaign. But if everything I'm receiving uh is correct, and as far as I know, like there's very little we could. Everything I'm doing now is just 1% changes. They're not like 80% changes. Meaning you know your kitchen isn't gonna your home kitchen isn't gonna change much if you get a nice knife. But if you change your stove, your entire kitchen, like your stove, your kitchen sink, your kitchen island, uh, the microwave, the refrigerator, if you get all that new, your kitchen is different. But if you get a new knife, right, it's like, okay, you can cut things better, but it's just a knife. The kitchen is still basically the same. And that is the kind of changes I'm making now. I'm making kitchen knife changes. It's like, okay, we can increase it by, a percent here and there, but overall, as far as I can tell, this campaign is doing good. Or this campaign is as optimized as it can be from the feedback I'm getting from the client. Because one of the issues with this is that it's hard to understand what it is they do, because it's very it's things that are happening in the world that we aren't aware of, right? So like just think about like sewers and uh, cleaning stuff, like how cities stay clean. Think about it like that. Like that's what they do. When things have an emergency where something's happening in a certain part of the city, and it needs to be cleaned up or it needs to be moved around. That's what they do. So it's hard to understand, and it's something too, like general knowledge. Like people don't know this. Anyways, I'm giving way too much information. The point is, I looked at this campaign and I was like, we've pretty much done everything that we could do on our side. And by now, the calls that should be coming in and the forms that should be coming in should be solid. And if they're not solid, it's either one of two things. One is it's such a high end thing, right? It's such a high end service that of course you're probably gonna get, let's say 3 to 4 a year, but when you do, those are gonna be like blow you out of the water. Like that was worth the amount that you're spending. Or two is this just isn't the right place to market. This is not the right place to run. This business is not the right place to run these Google ads. And so I thought about that. I was like, okay, do I want to spend my time working on something that isn't going to give results, even though it is a good source of income for the company? And I was like, yeah, this is one of those situations where like, all right, I got to go to the client and I got to say, hey, look, by all intents and purposes, this should be working by now. Like, unless it's a waiting game, which could be that, right? Like, for instance, a lawyer who does personal injury, truck accident, personal injury, like those don't happen very often. There's way more advertisers and way more lawyers than there are truck accidents, let's say in Texas. But when you get one and it's a good one, it's worth it because it'll pay for 3 years worth of ads if you get one of those. And so it's either that or, like I said, it's just not it. And I went to the client. I was like, hey, look, we're not trying to waste your money. And we'd rather focus, like maybe this is more of an awareness thing. Maybe we should spend our time on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, creating content, just educating the community as to why they should use your services, who you are. Maybe we should do more events. Like maybe we should take a different approach. Like where are the customers and how do we find them and how do we make them aware of you and have you in their Rolodex, so when they need your services, they can call you? Or how do you become part of their, how do we get them as a customer, basically is the question. But in doing that, we're basically axing ourselves, right? Because we do Google ads, we do Facebook and Instagram ads, and we do web design. But, I'm basically saying like, hey, maybe this isn't it, right? And so I think that's like, it's like me, imagine going to your job and saying, hey, my position is really not useful here. You should probably use your your resources more efficiently. So I'm out. So anyways, the point is, it's not always going to work. And there are times where you have to be like, hey, it is the right thing. It is the right idea to market, but sometimes it's not going to be Google Ads, and that's okay because there is somewhere to go, right? Like maybe this is one of those things where you go to golfing events, right? You go to these charities, and that's where you shake the hands, and it's just that type of business. Um, and just to sum that up, it's not. I personally believe that we just don't have the correct terminology because the keywords we're getting are not necessarily there's not enough data to tell me like, oh, we have the right keywords, or just nobody looks this up online, uh, which that could be the case too. So, anyways, that was a hell of a story. Let's go ahead and move on to the to the episode. And so here we have three reasons why, three signs to start your Google Ads. So I'm just gonna name them out, and then we'll go one by one. So number one is no phone calls or form submissions with a super targeted campaign. So this goes to my first story: is if you're not getting calls, um, or form submissions after you give it enough time, it's probably not gonna be the place to be. And one good way of looking at this is if you're a higher end service, you can expect less calls and less conversions on a monthly basis. It might be a quarterly thing. And if you're a much more not low end, but like your the frequency of your business is volume, right? It's high, then you can expect to get more leads, more calls, more form submissions more often, right? So to compare the two, if you're a auto detailing company, you should be expecting a detailing lead literally at least a couple times a week. Like if you're running Google Ads, you should be getting calls, you should be getting form submissions. We have enough data on this that we know that there should be calls, right? Um, so we recently got a barbershop client for web design. And I remember one of my first clients with my business was a barbershop, and they were getting, once we set up their campaign and their landing page, they were getting a bunch of calls, like a lot, 5-10 calls a day. But for them, it was a new barbershop. For them, that was not enough because the volume is way higher. And so it depends. This part depends on you, right? So like if you're only getting one phone call a day, but you require 10 customers a day to stay alive or to make it worth the Google Ads, then that's not a good sign. Same thing with the higher end. So let's say like you're a personal injury attorney, or you're these guys that I just talked about, or you're I got some of the accounts open here to get some more or a custom paint job shop. Like those don't happen that often, at least not for this guy. So they've actually told me like, this company has told me like, hey, if we get 2 of these a month, like we're good. So that's their pace. So if you're only getting one lead every 6 months, like all right, and everything's right, like you have the right keywords, you have the right locations, it's just that's not the place to be. It could always be that your website's throwing it off, right? Like it's not a well-designed website. It could be that you bought the business and it came with bad reviews and it has a bad reputation already. Like that could be it. It could be that the area you're in is just not where people who can afford your services are at. So there's other factors. Like it's not necessarily that the Google ads themselves aren't working. It's that the dots that need to be connected aren't all there. Like some dots are missing, and therefore you can't make the line. And if you can't make the line, well, you can't sell the service, and you can't sell the service, well, you can't make no money. If you can't make money, then what's the point of running the Google ads, right? You got to go a different route. Like sometimes I mention like, hey, I've seen this happen too, is that, sometimes you got to take Bikini Bottom and move it over there because like where you're at and what you're offering, this is not the place for it, right? Like imagine being a barbershop like in a super rural area where there's no people there, and the type of haircuts you do are, city type haircuts. This is an awful example, but that is like one of the situations. Or creating, here's a good one, creating like a steakhouse in an area where a bunch of where it's mainly vegetarians living. Like that would just be a bad idea. Like that is not the place for you. And we can go on and on with that. So known phone calls or form submissions with a super targeted campaign. Even just to get to that point though, that takes time too. So like for us, for Symphony Advertising, when we set up campaigns, like we can pretty much get to where we want to get within 2 months if it's not like an unfamiliar industry. And for most cases, it's the same. Like what a business offers a solution, and what we're trying to do is find customers that have that problem. That's all we're trying to do. People. So, and then it's very simple. Like, what is the problem? Okay, what is it that they'll search online for? Okay, we'll connect it like that. Like, it's very. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Um, and so that is number one. Number two, the customers you are getting are simply not worth it. So I think I was supposed to list them out and then and then go through them, but now we've realized we're just going through the whole thing. So the customers you are getting are simply not worth it. So this happens quite a bit. So a customer will start, they'll get their Google ads going, and they keep getting calls, they keep getting forced submissions. People will come in, or they'll service these people or these customers, but it's just not exactly what they're looking for. So this happened with that auto company I was talking about. So they wanted to do custom paint jobs, custom restorations for trucks, classic car stuff, but they were getting a lot of oil changes, a lot of, can you fix my window, a lot of, I have a chipped fender, can you buff that out? I'd like to get this car cleaned, and it was stuff that they do offer, but for them, they already had that done. Like, for them, that wasn't something that they wanted to add. In fact, they wanted to remove stuff like that. And so the Google ads wasn't worth it for them, because they would rather just not spend money on that, because they're already getting that. They're fine with what they have. They're good in their area. They're known for those services. But what they really wanted to work on was get like classic car restoration. So for them, it didn't work. And for them, the customers they were getting from the ads wasn't worth it. In fact, it was just adding more to their plate that they already didn't want to do. And I mean, we can all understand that, right? Like, if that's not what you want, then why would you keep running that? And a clear indicator of that is if you're getting too many customers that aren't really what your service is. So, for instance, just to give on my side an example is, anytime we get logo design or flyer design or brochure design, like, that is stuff we do not want. That is not what we do. We are capable of doing it. We can do it. We can do a decent job at it, but that is not our. We only do it if it's in package with web design. Do you happen to offer this? We want to do PPC, but hey, we also do mail outs. Can you create a flyer for us? And then it's like, okay, we can do it. And I always say it's like, we can do it. Don't really offer it, but we'll do it for you, because we can. It's part of our capabilities. It's just not our forte, and it's not something we want to focus on. So if I was getting a bunch of calls, if I was running ads, and it was all for mainly logo design, designs, brochure design, stuff like that, I'd be like, stop it. That's not what we're going to run. And that brings up a good question that a lot of people, they don't ask this, but I know some people think like, okay, well, if you are the Google ads person, right? And we sell Google ads as a service, right? But our company within itself doesn't run Google ads. This is actually exactly why. Is because when we run Google ads for PPC in Houston, let's say, the type of calls that we've gotten are mainly startups, right, that don't necessarily have the budget to afford our services, and that it's mainly startup stuff. So like, they don't really know their services. They need logo design. They need web design, which is all good, but most of the time they can't afford our stuff. And so that's why I stopped running them, because it really isn't worth it to get those type of customers, because for us, it's more this social media, relationships, partnerships. Wow, this list literally answers my own question. The phone calls that we were getting weren't that great, and and so that's example number 3. And so let's move on to bullet point number 3 is you've given it enough time, budget, and effort, which is really just number 1 and 2 combined. Is okay, if it didn't work for the first 15 days, then you can't quit, right? If you gave it 3 months, it's like, okay, maybe we haven't figured it out yet. Maybe we need to use a different PPC person. Maybe we need to do a different strategy. Maybe we need to try a different type of campaign. Maybe we have to do different ad scheduling. Maybe our offer isn't right. Maybe there's way too many competitors and we need to lower our price just a little bit. Maybe we have too many competitors and we need to build our brand a little bit more so that we can be the high-end version of whatever service. Maybe we need to redesign our website so that it loads fast enough and it works on mobile and it's easy to navigate for our customers. Maybe we haven't paid our domain and our website's been like if you've done everything, because it's not like I said, it's Google Ads, but it's the rest, right? Maybe it's for foot traffic, right? Maybe you're running ads for foot traffic to do walk-ins, and your building's always a mess. Like it's not just Google Ads like that you have to fix, quote unquote, is that you have to think about all the other things that are part of that process. And so if you've done all those things and you're not getting results from Google Ads, right? Like I said, it's not so much that you have to run Google Ads. I, again, always offer that as the first solution, but there are other solutions, and there of course there are other solutions that work better for different companies, and a lot of it depends on personality too. Like, let's say you're more of a writer, well then maybe writing articles on LinkedIn for your business is a better route to go. And you're not a video person, then of course you're probably not gonna be on Instagram and social media, Facebook or TikTok, because you don't like video. Maybe you do like an email campaign because you're better at writing. Like, your company's better to sell on email. Let's say like there's that too. So those are the 3 points. And with that being said, this is a short episode. I think we're good. So anyways, short episode today. Thanks for tuning in on 3 signs to stop your Google Ads. I should change it. It's 3 signs to stop your Google Ads and try something else, because there's always room for marketing, okay? There's always, sometimes you got to think out of the box. Sometimes you got to go back to traditional. Sometimes you got to go out there and shake hands and go into meetings and go to coffee meetings and do that route. There's always something else, right? So it's not just stop Google Ads. It's stop Google Ads and do something else. So thanks a lot. If you have any questions, let me know. Goodbye.